I know we all talk about, well, we're going to talk with the federal government and the federal government, you know, so I get it. Yes, yes, the federal government right now is very supportive of housing. They have their own initiatives in place. They are actively engaging with municipalities in order to fulfill their housing requirements. That's great. We continue on that path respectfully, with compassion, with them understanding our specific needs for the city of Winnipeg's. What I don't appreciate is cookie cutter solutions to housing as a whole. That's not the case in Winnipeg. We have to be very mindful of not only the demographics of the city right now, but also 5 years and 10 years down the road. I think that when we make policy and we don't actually include active communication about what we are planning for the city, what the city looks like, it is a failed attempt. We're going to have multi-generational families. We're going to have Indigenous families coming from different areas, but also our urban Indigenous population, who are definitely a group that would really, we require attention. They require our compassion and our attention to make sure that we are giving and providing the supports that they need to be in housing. The other really important part is that we talk about derelict homes. You've just heard it this past few weeks. Whereas everyone else wants to hand those homes off to developers, which we know is not the way to proceed when it comes to affordable or rent geared to income housing. I want to ensure that when we're taking title to those homes, going through that process that we have to go through under that bylaw, we then start to gift it in a way to not-for-profits. The one coming to mind right now is Habitat for Humanity or whatever other groups are out there, and there's neighborhood groups as well. They would be able to start to work with us for rent geared to income housing. So yes, to federal government, but I think that those are 700 homes right now that we know of. And if we can move on those very quickly. The second part of that derelict homes issue is the fact that from a city perspective, the enforcement is not as active as it needs to be. They are missing some staff. They don't have the full-time staff that they need to ensure that the processes that are already in place, the mechanisms and the tools that are already in place can be actually fulfilled. So we need to make sure that that part is also being done, because without that, we're not going to get to that access to those 700 homes. And I don't mean access in a different disrespectful way. I mean access as in you've abandoned it, you've left it. Now it's our job to take title to it. We pass it on to various not-for-profit groups, hopefully even Indigenous groups who can then plan based on their own needs, those 700 homes. So that will help, but that's not going to be it all. That won't be all of it. And planning and strategic planning is really based on leadership. And like I said when I started this conversation, budgets are based on priorities. My priorities going into this election, whether it's in the discourse during this campaign or when I'm mayor, is poverty, it's homelessness, it's addiction, it's getting people lifted out of those places. It is to rectify some of the social failures that we're walking by every day and acting like it's all okay. It's not all okay. It's not all okay. It's absolutely absurd what we are seeing on the streets of the city. And it goes against everything that we are as Winnipeggers. I like it. Okay, so 80%. Okay, so what I've committed to is, and I apologize because sometimes there's numbers and you guys acknowledge the fact that there's so many numbers going around. So what I've committed to, just based on my own research, was I believe the Win Pass is like $100 a month right now.
No. The regular pass is about $100, and then if you're low income, you're eligible for a 50% off, so it's about $50.
Okay, so
it's 110, isn't it?
Is it 110?
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what I've committed to already, I don't know if is this out already? It may not be out. What I committed to was $20 passes. So I think would that make that 80%?
That's about 80. I think that's actually over 80.
Yeah. So I said $20 passes, and again, with the acknowledgement that $100 for somebody who's struggling, is a lot of money. And again, we want them to be able to go to job interviews. We want them to be able to take their families to places and enjoy the city. We want them to be able to go to parks and use transit, and just for their own well-being, not only for their own well-being, but also for their economic opportunities, for them to be able to go grocery shopping and have life in place, to be able to live a good life. So yes, I definitely committed to that. Nope, that's we're not doing that job for them. That they can figure that out. That is up to them to figure out what they need and what they. I mean, just like I wouldn't dictate to any other department what we do with funding, the police need to figure it out themselves. But my commitment is they have to figure it out with 10% less funding. Institutions aren't always the people, right? So I also believe that this not only benefits community, but this is also an opportunity for the current Winnipeg Police Service to lift themselves up, understand what the community needs are, understand that people are watching, that they need to start to do their part, and whatever that takes. And I think that this reallocation is a very important step for all of us, whether it's police or whether it's community, because we all need to understand that this is, because it's not like you don't have, you know, young members of the Winnipeg Police who are, you know, PTSD, burning out themselves, completely unable to do their job as well. Why? Because they're being told to do things they're completely unequipped to do, right? So I think that from a community perspective, as in we don't want division. We don't want this us and them mentality. That is what has happened for generations. That's not where we want to go. What we're trying to do is create scenarios that everyone can work together in a good way to meet the needs of the entire community.